everybody, it's Chris Eads, Wootini over at gaygamer.net, here with a very special weekly video podcast. This is my 150th video podcast. Now that's not entirely 150 uninterrupted weeks. I have missed a couple here and there, but I have done 150 of these silly things, and I thank all of you who have stuck with me, either watching it on the site or subscribing to me on YouTube. I really appreciate all of you watching my insane ramblings week after week, even when I don't have anything particularly interesting to say. So, as I said last week, because this is the 150th anniversary podcast, I thought I would do something special, and I would take you through some of my very favorite of all-time games. This is definitely not a complete list, simply because there are other games that probably would be a favorite, but I forgot about them? So how favorite could they be? I don't know, but whatever. I mean, I looked back through all my old Genesis cartridges, and there wasn't really anything in there that I'm like, yo, I can't wait to play that again. So we're going to skip ahead to the Sega CD era and begin with Snatcher. This game blew my mind. It is such a fantastic adventure game. Just the plot, the story, the graphics at the time, mind-blowing. I was impressed. The way it told the story was fantastic. It was not the very first adventure game that I'd ever played. That would go all the way back to like the Commodore 64 when I started playing the Infocom text adventures. I would count that as my first adventure game. But Snatcher was the first, like, of that generation where I was like, wow, these games are awesome. Also from the Sega CD era, Lunar, the Silver Star. Very good game. Actually, Working Designs was fantastic and totally justified the used Sega CD that I bought off of this guy at work, because they put out a bunch of really good JRPGs, which were all fancy because you could put them on a CD. They could have that really crappy full-motion anime cutscenes, and, I mean, they were kind of awful, honestly. Like, if you go back and look at the video quality now, it's crap. I love that game so much that I actually bought it when it was repackaged for the PlayStation, and the sequel repackaged for the PlayStation that came in the big boxes with all the little collectible doodads. It's just a great JRPG. It's a classic, and I love it. It's got a special place in my heart. The 32X, not the best decision buying that. That was a bit of a non-starter. But it did let me play Doom for the first time, since I was not a PC gamer. So, without the 32X, well, I would have just waited until I got a PlayStation, which I did buy it on the PlayStation anyway. But Doom was the first-person game that I ever played. And, I mean, looking at it now, it's, you know, really ugly. But, at the time, it was mind-blowing to me to think I'm moving down these corridors and I'm shooting these monsters and I'm exploring and I'm scared to go in there because it's noisy and creepy. That was amazing to me. And that just really blew my mind. It felt real. So that was my first-person game and instilled in me a love of the immersiveness of first-person shooters and adventure games. Now, moving on to PlayStation era, I have to admit, I have a box somewhere in my apartment of PlayStation and PlayStation 2 games that I cannot find. Which is why there are not a lot of PlayStation and PlayStation 2 games in here, because I'm sure there are titles that I can't remember because they're not in front of my face. And it's not like I can just go look at a list of PlayStation games, because that is a very long list. But I will mention there is one title, in keeping with the first-person perspective thing. I thought Kingsfield for the PlayStation, which was technically Kingsfield 2. Amazing. It was a first-person RPG. And so to me, it was like, you know, the 3D immersiveness of the Doom, but an RPG where you can level up, and you can slash at monsters with your sword and cast spells. And it is a really fugly game now. But, again, another one that holds a special place in my heart because it is just amazing and immersive, and it was a precursor to getting sucked into the Elder Scrolls games later in life. Another one, total classic, Parappa the Rapper. I mean, seriously, if you don't love this game, you have no soul. This is one of the cutest, most adorable, most fun, amazing games ever, and it has a great soundtrack, and it is okay to listen to this soundtrack in your normal life. It's just that good. Moving on to the Dreamcast, but still with the awesome music games, we have Bass Channel 5. I just love this game for the sheer insanity of it. Yes, it's an on-rails rhythm game where you're just playing Simon Says, basically, with, you know, button presses and joystick moves, but the music was really cool. It had a great retro 60s future vibe to it, and Ooh La La is awesome. So, yay for that one. Another super immersive game that I absolutely loved was Shenmue. This game was so cool. I know a lot of people thought it was ridiculous and you just walk around doing nothing, but these are probably the same people who love the Grand Theft Auto games that let you run around and do whatever you want. I happen to really enjoy going in and going to the candy machines and buying all the little toys out of the vending machines and doing all the little errands and talking to literally everyone in sight. It was like you're living in that village. It just felt so real, and I loved that. I loved that about that game. It created a reality that I just loved to explore. I also have to mention CMan, because this game is the most bizarre, freakish thing, and I don't know what crazy person decided, yes, let's get everyone out there in the world creating virtual life in their Dreamcast with a sassy fishman that talks back to them and is obnoxious. But I loved it. And every time there is a rumor of a remake for CMan, I get super excited. Personally, I'm holding out for a 3DS version because I'd like to be able to carry it around with me and have him in 3D, plus there's a microphone, which would be really easy to do. Moving on to PlayStation 2, again, I don't have them all in front of me, but whatever. I gotta mention Deus Ex, because this was a really cool first-person shooter that let you actually make choices, and to me, that was amazing because up to that point, you know, things were more Doom-like, where they were really linear. So to play something like Deus Ex, where you had a mission where you had to break into a building and destroy a computer or whatever, I don't know. And you could either just blast your way through, or you could sneak in through the back, or you could go to the top of the building and come down. There were multiple options on how to achieve your goal. And I thought that was fantastic, because that let me use the sneaky route that I would be better at, as opposed to having to run and gun my way through and get killed a bunch of times and get frustrated and never finish the game. So, for that, Deus Ex is awesome. And sequels weren't bad either. Speaking of sequels, I love the Silent Hill series. 3 to me is my all-time favorite. But I love the series as a whole. 4 is where it started to go downhill. There have been a couple. The Wii game was alright. That was pretty good. But Homecoming and the others, 4 and 5, no, those weren't very good at all. So 3 is my all-time favorite. But I love Silent Hill because it's actually scary and disturbing, as opposed to Resident Evil, which just turned into an action game. And I prefer my survival horror to actually be horror and not action. Another awesome game, Katamari Damacy. I have a bunch of the sequels too. It is fantastic, it is weird, it is catchy tunes, rolling up garbage and weird items to make giant planets. It's, again, just complete insanity, but unbelievably fun. Can't get enough of it. Morrowind is the reason I bought an Xbox, so that I could play Morrowind. Because I did have a PC for a little while, and I did play Daggerfall, and I thought it was pretty awesome. And then this game just looked so effing fantastic, and I played the crap out of Morrowind. I got to the point where I was doing so much side stuff that I suddenly realized, oh, maybe I should go finish the main quest. And by the time I went to finish the main quest, I was super powerful, so it was kind of easy to beat the main boss. But the later games, while they got prettier, they also leveled up with you, so I didn't quite see the point of leveling up your character if the enemies are going to level with you, because the whole point of an RPG is that you get to level up so that you can defeat a more difficult enemy. Whatever. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This was my introduction to BioWare, and it was fantastic. And this came out at the time of the prequels that will not be spoken of again, because they were awful. And I remember playing Knights of the Old Republic and thinking, how is it that these people were able to make a story that was a bajillion times better than what George Lucas put in his movies? That is a true Star Wars story, not those movies that will not be spoken of again. GameCube, everybody loves Eternal Darkness. I love Eternal Darkness. Such a good game. Weird, disturbing, and the way that it messed with your head, making you think that your volume was going down or your picture was flickering or your controller became unplugged. That was just so much fun. Then, of course, there's the Amazeballs Wind Waker. Still my favorite Zelda game of all time. So good. So good. So good that I bought it in HD on the Wii U, just so I could play it again, and it would be prettier. I know a lot of people hated Toon Link, that style. I thought it was amazing, and it's my favorite Zelda style, art style. Love it to death, and I will defend it to the death. Of course, you know I have to mention Animal Crossing, because this game is fantastic. It's my favorite. I have been playing Animal Crossing literally every day of my life since this game came out for the GameCube. When I got this home from GameStop, after I got my GameCube for Christmas, I bought this game, and I brought it home, and I plugged in the memory card that it came with, because it took up an entire memory card, so you had to have your own memory card for it. I literally played it practically every day of my life. I've played it on the GameCube, I played it on the DS, I played it on the Wii, I played it on the 3DS. I always have an Animal Crossing town in my life. It's important. When the Wii launched, yes, Wii Sports is fantastic. Everybody loves Wii Sports. It was the best game to launch the Wii with. But I also picked up Twilight Princess, which, I've got to say, I really liked this, and it was a really good launch title. It's not as good as Wind Waker, but it's a close second for me. I do like it. Also, gotta mention Wii Fit, which helped me to lose 40 pounds. Who would think that a video game could get you jumping, moving, and it got me running in place in my living room, which led to me running in reality, which led to me running a half marathon, which led to me messing up my knee. And it has since led me to mess up my feet, and I haven't been running in a while, but still, a video game helped me to lose 40 pounds. It inspired me to get fit, so yay. Now this is a very controversial choice, I'm sure. This is a very obscure title, the Endless Ocean series. There's Endless Ocean, and then the sequel here, Endless Ocean Blue World, where you go diving and search for treasure while New Age music plays beautifully on the soundtrack, and I think it's great. Because one of the PlayStation games that I would have pulled out had I been able to find my box of PlayStation games was Aquanauts Holiday, which, looking back at it, is really not a realistic underwater simulator, but at the time, I thought it was amazing, and it wasn't even really a game. You literally just floated around and looked at things, and I found it very soothing. So the Endless Ocean series was just, you know, a prettier modern, graphically impressive version where you're, drifting around underwater in these underwater temples and looking at these really amazing fish, and it was more realistic, and I find it soothing. So sue me. BioWare continued to be awesome with the Mass Effect trilogy, and I would love to go back and replay this game, the whole trilogy, but I just don't have time. But I do want to play it as a guy, because I played it as a woman, so that I could romance Caden, obviously. Durr. So I'd like to play it again as a guy, that way I can play it evil, even though I don't know if I could, because I don't usually play evil, I usually play nice, because that's just how I roll. So I'd have to force myself to play a game and make the evil, bad, naughty choices. But that way I could get more achievements. And I'd also see how things play when you're evil. Then, of course, the awesomeness that is Lips, which is a great karaoke game, which I'm really sad is dead. Pardon me. And of course, then, anything Harmonix touches, like Dance Central, awesome. Love Dance Central series. So good, so much fun. And of course, the Rock Band series, which 3 is still my favorite because 3 introduced keyboards, which I really like. Before the keyboards, the drums were my favorite. And then, of course, over on the PlayStation side of things, you have Singstar, which is fantastic, and not as good as Lips. I like the gameplay in Lips better. I find it's easier, whereas Singstar, I have to play on easy every time because otherwise my scores are terrible because I can't really sing. But I like to pretend that I can. Also for the PlayStation 3, one of my favorite RPGs of all time, Ni no Kuni. Utterly gorgeous, amazing. It let me live my dream of being in a Miyazaki film. Because Studio Ghibli did the visuals are stunning. It's like being in a Miyazaki movie. And I just was blown away. So, it's just awesome. And if you're watching this right as this podcast comes out, it's currently on sale in the PlayStation Store for the month of December 2013. So, if you haven't, please check it out, because it's awesome sauce. Over on the portable side, obviously, there's Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, which, again, I also cannot find that box. It's in a closet somewhere, I'm sure. But, obviously, Pokemon Red and Blue. I'm gonna play Pokemon Red. That is awesome. And then, I'm sure there's Game Boy Advance games that I can't think of right now, but that are awesome. I do remember enjoying Pokemon Pinball. More modern handheld games that I enjoy. The Phoenix Wright series, love all of these. Every single one, even the side games with Miles Edgeworth and whatever. They're all super fun, great humor, super fun. And I love solving the mysteries and the ridiculousness of all the court cases where it's not even close to realistic court behavior. But it's hilarious, and they're just so much fun. Also fun adventure games, the Professor Layton series. Every single one of these. And those have beautiful animated cutscenes, and both of these series made wonderful transitions into 3D on the 3DS, so they can continue to live, and I look forward to each new installment in those series. Also, the Professor Layton movie is really good. You should rent that, or buy it, because it's really good. Also, I don't have my copy of Nintendogs anymore, because I gave it to my niece, but I do have my Nintendogs and Cats for my 3DS, because Nintendogs is another one of my favorite games. I just love having my virtual pet, since I can't have a cat because I'm allergic to it, and I can't have a dog because, well, I guess I could have a dog. We are allowed pets in this building, but it's just easier to have the virtual pet. They don't complain if you, I mean, I can't remember the last time I checked in on them. So, a real dog would be dead by now. My virtual dog will just be a little dirty. Or not, because if you don't check in on them for a while, I think they actually just reset and they're fine when you check in on them again, because they realize that you're not neglecting them, you just have not played in a year. So, those are my favorite games, and I warned you at the beginning this was going to be a long one. So I will sign off now. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my choices. And tell me if there are games that you think that I would like based on these selections. Obviously, I have a wide range of interests. I have my music games, I have my adventure games, I have my RPGs, I have my weird casual games. So let me know if there's something that you think that I should check out. And thank you for watching these. I really love it. And I will keep making them if you keep watching them. So on that note, I'll see you back here next week. Bye!